All right, we are live. Anything you guys want to get out of the way before we start the official podcast recording? Let me just do a quick sound check. You guys say something real quick?
You know, it's just good to see both of you.
It is nice. The council's convened. Okay, let's get started. Oh, oops, hold on. I'm hearing myself. Let me fix that. Okay. I felt like Ashley Simpson.
Let me get this out of the way. This
Okay.
is really, really professional so far.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's it. No, it's this is a good one. We're only 5 minutes or 9 minutes late. Like that's pretty good. All right. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of TapCaf Transmissions. I am joined not only today by Corey, boring, but also Alex from Star Wars Explained. How are you doing today, my good friend?
I'm doing great, but I would argue that I'm even more boring than Corey.
Dude, you have a green
Nice of you
background.
to say that, Alex. Thank you.
Look at his background.
That's because I was just talking about Loki. That's why.
He's got a customized green background. Nobody with a custom background
Hey,
is boring.
hold on. Just keep talking. Give me a second.
Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot you do have the lights too. So today we're talking about book 2. Well, I guess we'll get into that. The second major book of the High Republic, and that is Into the Dark, or no, not Into the Darkness, The Rising Storm. I've been saying that, like, I've been getting the titles mixed up all the time now, but this is kind of a unique experience because Corey and I have kind of just been taking in the main High Republic books, and Alex, you've been all in, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I, for some reason, decided to do when I started the channel. I was like, I'm going to try to keep up with everything and remember it all. And so, yeah, it's a lot, but I have been enjoying it. I will say, I mean, I just said it right before we went live, that I think it's fair to call this book 2. I think that if all you do is read the novels, like so far, those have been the ones that have really grabbed me, and like I really love them. The other ones I've been enjoying, but it's not on the same level, in my opinion.
I was scared for a
How
second
did you
there.
feel after the first one, the Light of the Jedi? How did you feel about that one?
I liked it a lot. I remember, yeah, Eck, at least you gave it, like, I think you said a B minus or C plus or somewhere around there. I really liked it, but I was just really, really hoping that we would get to do a lot of different stuff with it. And so I would say it beat my expectations for what it could be. But I also understand that, you know, not everyone wants
Right.
this kind of Star Wars storytelling. So, but I was
think
glad
for
to hear that
us-
you like this one more.
Yeah, I think for us, the comparison we were making at the time was it was a bit more like Darth Bane, which we knew you were really into, but for us, we just covered it again. We were a bit lower on than I think we even expected to be going in.
No, I expected not
Yeah.
to like it because I read it last year, and yeah.
Right.
So I love the Darth Bane trilogy. Well, I'd actually like to ask you this because did you like Thrawn Greater Good? I think you said that.
No,
enjoyed that one?
not really, to be honest.
I
Oh,
did.
okay.
He didn't.
Okay. Well, I liked the first one, Chaos Rising. I liked that one pretty well. Greater Good, not so much. But I think that I tend to lean more in the fantasy with my Star Wars, and I get the impression that you guys lean more sci-fi. Would that be a correct assumption?
I mean, I think it depends, but like one of my favorites is Courtship of Princess Leia, and that one's pretty fantasy. But yeah, I think generally, yeah, you wouldn't be super off there.
Okay.
I think for me, the difference, like the reason I kind of group Light of the Jedi more with Darth Bane is almost over the top in different directions, where Light of the Jedi was kind of over the top light side, whereas Darth Bane was very
Sure.
over the top Tor style as a novel, or KOTOR as a novel, dark side powers.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot in Light of the Jedi that I think got toned down a bit here on kind of the saccharine, we're all the Republic every 3 lines, that I it wasn't landing as well for me. But I think here it was still present, but it wasn't as omnipresent as in the first book.
I thought it was more like in this book, and that's one of my first notes I wrote down. Like, I felt more that it was like a golden age in this book. It was like more of a, like last book, it felt like a lot of tell not show, whereas like they kept saying this is the golden age, and like but this book I really felt it, like with the fair and whatnot. But yeah, should we before we get right into the book, though, anything else you want to talk about with the High Republic, Alex? Like, where do you kind of rank the material? Like, is there a comic that really kind of stands out to you, or is there like an arc? Like, I mean, going into this book, for example, Corey and I, we didn't know anything about like the Dren gear, so I'm just kind of wondering, kind of your thoughts on the overall kind of experience.
Yeah, like I would just say The Rising Storm and The Light of Jedi is what's jumped out the most to me. I've enjoyed the comic, both comics. The Adventures comic surprised me the most because I wasn't really, it was for kids, so I wasn't really expecting much, and it's been a lot better than I would have anticipated. Into the Dark, that one, I wouldn't say it disappointed me, but usually I love Claudia Gray's stuff so much, and this one wasn't as good. I do think the Dren gear are a little bit goofy, but I think their time in this world is going to be short.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the novels have been the best part for me, and everything else has been basically my reaction to most Star Wars, where I'm just like, yeah, all right, that's good. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then sometimes things come along that I'm like, I love this thing. And like this book did it, Light of the Jedi did it, Fallen Order did it. Like those are the ones that really jump out.
Yeah. No, I was feeling that with this book too. Like, I really enjoyed this one. And I was kind of wondering like whether I should go back and read something else, because like one thing that I've kind of complained about as someone with a bad memory, and I know you probably don't have the same issue, Alex, is like character overload. And like I
was chuckling at your tweets about it. Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even remember, was Stellan Gios even in the Light of the Jedi? Like,
no.
Okay, because I was like, I know this name from somewhere, but like I don't know who he is. And yeah, so
he's mentioned but not seen.
Okay, I
Because
feel
it was
like
more Elzar with that one.
Well, even Elzar didn't get too much play in the first one.
Yeah. Like I spent the first 100 pages of this book trying to remember which characters I already knew and which characters they were from the last book, because it had been a few months. So I finally
that's
got
probably
on top of it, but
it's probably something that helps when you're like reading the comics and getting kind of a refresher over and over. But I also feel like just reading things like Game of Thrones, where the first 20 pages are like, here's 200 people, good luck. And I guess it's just, I trust that the author is going to keep reminding me who these people are until it's stuck. And for me, that worked, but it's definitely a lot of new characters to keep track of.
Yeah, no, like I think for me, if the book would have been worse, I would have really struggled. But like I kind of have the same thing when I'm reading the Game of Thrones. Like, and for this, I end up taking like a lot of notes. Like I took notes on like, because I was worried, and at the end I probably didn't need to, but like I've got notes on like kind of, because and I guess we'll just mention too at this point, there is going to be spoilers and like full spoilers for the book in this video and anything else. So if you haven't read it yet, maybe come back later. But we start off and we've got kind of, I guess, like almost five or six story arcs. We've got Stellan Gios, we've got Ty York, we've got Elzar Mann, we've got Marchion Ro and Dis, we've got Bell and his new master Indira, and then we've also got a Lorna D chapter. Those are kind of like the first 5 or 6 character chapters, and then a lot of them kind of end up collecting in the same place. Like, of course, you get Elzar Mann and Stellan Gios in the same place, and you get Ty York eventually makes her way there too. Marchion Ro and the rest of the Nihil kind of meet up. So I was kind of worried that we were gonna, keep getting these like 5 or 6 individual plot lines, and then they would keep picking up new characters, but it ended up kind of being a lot more reasonable, like halfway through than I was expecting, I guess.
I had that fear in Light of the Jedi as well, because you start off with like the I think it's 5 or 6 chapters in a row where you're starting off and then the person who's telling the story is dead by the end of the chapter. Like, is this going to be the whole book? Is everyone just going to die?
Yeah, I think that I was listening to a Force Center podcast earlier, and they were talking about how this book, it feels a lot like season 2 of Game of Thrones, or reading book 2 of that series, where it's like, yeah, there are familiar characters, but there's also some new ones. And yeah, it's like you kind of feel like you got to take notes and remember who these new people are. But the way that these books are written reminds me of a Game of Thrones, where it's like you get a Ned chapter and a Sansa chapter and an Arya chapter and a Jon chapter, and
You're
like
like,
just
I need
kinda
another Ned chapter.
cycle through them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think I appreciate the shorter chapters in this book and Light of the Jedi, where it's like, yeah, you just kind of quickly read through it because you want to get back to Bell. Like, what's happening with Bell? And it just keeps you going. I really like that.
So is that your like chapter you want to read next? Was that Bell for you? I'm kind of curious.
I guess it depends. I think probably Elzar, but definitely at the end it was Bell.
Yeah, and
Those
those
last few chapters, yeah.
Elzar's,
I think the first third, I was all about Markion Row because he was doing that little temple kind of excursion, and I was like, "What's he heading towards?"
full mystery box
shifted throughout the book. Yeah,
yeah.
What's the Markion market looking like for you guys? Because like I was coming into the book pretty high on his chances to get something big done, and thought of him as a lot more capable. That was kind of like peaking towards the middle of this book, and by the end, sure, he has the leveler, but I feel like my respect level in universe for what Roe can do, I'm selling on Markion.
I mean, he takes some L's for sure. But I think he sees like most of the Nihil as pretty disposable. I gotta say, the Nihil were one of the factions. Like just generally in this book, I thought the world building was a lot better. Like I don't know if that's like because of the different writing style or what, but like the Nihil, I thought were a little bit overdone in book one, with like how they were characterized and stuff. In this book, I thought it was much better. But yeah, he's definitely like. He's not like a traditional villain. Like he's not like a Thrawn early on, where like for books 1 and 2, Thrawn's gonna do nothing wrong really. He'll make some small mistakes, but like in this, it's like Marchion is like he's gonna have some major fuck ups, and yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's like, and we still, I mean, maybe there's something in like the other books, but we still don't even know why he's so pissed off at the Jedi.
Right. My hot take is that maybe hopefully the Nihil and Markion and the Dringir, like I wonder if they're all not really going to be that influential throughout the rest of the High Republic. Like I kind of like this idea that that's what they're all selling, like here are the big threats, but then Markion just unleashes the leveler, and then like what if he just dies, but he let like some way worse thing get out, and just because there's no major conflict for 1,000 years after Darth Bane and before episode 1. So I like the idea of just like all of these little things happening to the Jedi over time, and we see them start to degrade.
I mean, we even see that a bit in like the end of this one, where it's Stellan is basically called in. I'm pretty sure it's Stellan's called in by Lina Soh and is like, yeah, you're going to be. It's kind of like almost like a mini Clone Wars situation where she's like recruiting him to lead the Jedi against the Nihil, and he's like, that's not really our job. I don't know. Like I agree. I feel there's like, this might be overstating. I feel like there's almost a 0% chance that the Nihil are like a big bad in this. Like I think you're right, where they are kind of just setting the stage for something. I still think at some point we'll probably see Sith come in, just because it's like it's that era. I don't think it's a mistake that they're 200 years before, and like that they can spend time kind of setting the scene for what comes later. But
yeah, maybe the Nihil will be the big bad for phase 1. And they'll be dealt with and they'll be gone. Maybe Markion's still running around because he does feel like he's got a lot of baggage with the Jedi. But I think the Nihil will probably be gone. But whatever this leveler is going to be like a bigger problem to be dealt with.
Right. I guess let's just we can just talk about that now. So for those who haven't read the book and who don't care about spoilers, again, full spoilers here. Much of the book is, well, at least Marchion Ro's portion is him going and finding this strange, well, it's at first it seems like a device, but it's a device and a creature, I guess, called the Leveler, and it's some sort of force creature. It almost like, it reminded me kind of the Voxen that the Vong used, but like much deadlier. It's kind of sad. They at the end of the book, Loading Greatstorm, who's been missing for a year at this point and just absolutely been tortured, is saved, and he gets just like the juice sucked out of him by this leveler
Well,
creature.
does he get the juice sucked out of him, or does he get petrified in like
It's unclear right now, I guess.
Like a basilisk?
Yeah. Like, is he that you can't make him go through that, get rescued, fall down the cliff. He's got so many now he's safe moments.
No, he's dead.
His
skull like collapses, doesn't it? At the end, doesn't he like turn into dust?
Oh yeah, he's not coming back.
Yeah,
but petrification isn't a bad descriptor for it, because it's a lot like what happens on Malachor. You know, like there's just all these stone people, and you touch them and they fall apart. That was just the worst freaking thing, is those last few pages. And like, I was reading it on the Kindle,
Me too.
and I was just keeping an eye on
97%
left in that book. Yeah,
4 minutes in the chapter.
Left. Yeah, I'm like, come on, Bell and Loden, you can do it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just let them live. And on the last goddamn page, I was just like, shit, just so mad.
I think
I knew someone would die, but I really didn't think it would be him, because he was supposed to be the death last time. Well, I guess the Togruta Mali was. I keep forgetting her name.
I will like a lot of the side characters, people who don't get chapters. I do not know their names. Like, I didn't. Maybe
there's the
I'll
one
learn them
Jedi
down
and
the
the
line,
fighter who dies in this one. Gets killed by
the one who died. Well, no one gave it. No one cares.
Is he the Ithorian?
Yeah.
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 But speaking of Malachor, there's actually a reference that Scott has used twice now, like by Surik's blade. So clearly that means all of KOTOR 2 is now recanonized.
Yeah, there was.
He used it in the comics too, if you haven't seen that. So maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
There you go. So who's your guys? Okay, so we talked a bit about. I mean, just for me, I kind of want to talk about Elzar Mann, because he was like, usually when you read Jedi, they're so like unrelatable. But he was the first one where like I felt like he was actually feeling human emotions. He's got like not only angst about like joining. Well, he's got angst about being a Jedi, clearly, because you know he's got all these kind of romantic entanglements. Some of them going beyond purely the physical. Like he's clearly got more than just a I want to have sex with thing with Avar Kriss. But like he's also just having like, I don't know if I want to stay on this planet forever. Like I don't know if I want to wander the galaxy forever, if I want to be the marshal on this world forever. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about that, but he was definitely my favorite character in the book, and probably one of my favorite Jedi characters, period, up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, you said it well. He feels the most relatable and human, and he does stuff that you're like, yeah, he dips into the dark side and like throws that giant disc at a Nihil ship and destroys it. And it's a very like, hell yeah moment. And then he's like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, at least not the way I did it. And like, you know, part of you is like, come on, Elzar, you had to do that. And then part of you is like, okay, yeah, it's not the Jedi way. I get what you're saying. But yeah, I loved his chapters. I loved the Jedi Walk of Shame.
Yeah. Not only a walk of shame, but like a walk of shame when like the Nihil are suicide bombing, you're playing it.
Right. Just that line about like, oh, we have so many layers of clothes, and now I know why. Like,
yeah.
every button you unbuckle, you're like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm gonna.
I really
The
like
Jedi
their
chastity
relationship
belt.
as well. I forget her name. The administrator,
Samira?
Samira, yeah.
Yeah.
Rojo or whatever. But yeah, I really like their relationship, and then he even kind of gets rejected by her again at the end too, where she's like, "Listen, like, just a night of fun." Like, but what was I gonna say? The Jedi of this era are kind of like weirdly deterministic too. I mean, I guess Jedi always are, but I hope that they address that at some time, because it's all, you know, oh, I'm glad the Force brought you through this, or the Force did what the Force needed to do, and then you have characters like Elzar who are just, you know, they're not willing to accept the fact that all their friends are gonna die, so they throw a giant world island through a spaceship, and it kind of reminds me like that's a discussion we get in Legends a lot, and then even like how Elzar used the Force there, that was another Legends thing. Like, is it about the result or the intention? So I'm hoping that that's something that we kind of explore a bit more in the rest of the books, because they are at this like the fact that they are in this golden age and they're, they see themselves as the perfect Jedi, like there's some folly in that too, like maybe a lack of introspection or like a lack of discussion or whatever. So I hope we see more of that.
I really liked the line about how the Jedi's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. The fact that they carry every death with them, and they have to, like, they want to give second chances. They want to, like, say, I don't have to kill you to some of these Nihil, and the Nihil never show the same thing to them. And I think it said something about how, like, that's also the gap in their armor.
Yep.
Their greatest strength is also their gap in their armor. I love that line. But also some badass things, like I think it was Indira who says, like, she killed someone and she regretted it, and then she just looked for another regret to add to her tally.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's like I forget the saying. It's like, I don't wish bad on people, but there's some people who, like, I smile when something bad happens to, that's the kind of expression. Yeah, that was interesting too, and it's kind of interesting to see how some of the different Jedi like fall on that spectrum, where, like, yeah, and in one case you're right, like that one Jedi who saves the falling Nihil only to have him, end up killing, I can't remember the name of the Jedi, like that's on one end. And then there's others who, like, are definitely a bit more willing to, be those defenders of peace, and, be aggressive and, give less of a chance. Like in the heat of battle, if you see a Nihil coming for you, like, are you going to be the Jedi who offers him a chance to surrender? Or are you going to be the one who, smartens up and realizes what's about to happen?
Yeah. I just get the sense that they haven't had to do anything. They haven't had the chance to make these decisions. So I think sometimes they don't know what to do. But yeah, I really like seeing them grapple with all of it.
It is kind of the same kind of dynamic, or the same kind of opposing views between Elzar and Stellan as you get between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and how they see their place in the Order, but on a bit more of a level playing field, because it's not master apprentice, it's people who've grown up together. And Elzar definitely thinks more about the consequences of what he's doing as a Jedi more than Anakin does. Like, he hucks the giant island thing, and the first thing he does is go to someone who's left the Order, like, please make sure I never do anything like that again, and just attaches himself to her.
Kick me if I start to force choke somebody.
Well, even that, it seems like it's a responsible thing to do, but it's a super risky thing for him to do as well. It's just as reckless, because he's not really thinking about who he's giving that responsibility to. Like, if it was Stellan, then yeah, he knows what to expect with that. But with Ty, he's seen her do worse stuff, and it's almost like he's trying to absolve himself the responsibility without the results being as important.
To be fair, he did just get smashed in the head.
Well, help.
He wasn't thinking clearly. Ty was an interesting character. Yeah, she was an interesting character. I'm wondering what her future is. Like, is she somebody who was also in the comics or the books, Alex? Because I think she's new to, at least to Corey and I, right, Corey? Like, she's not in the past book at all.
No. Yeah, this is her first appearance. She is going to get a graphic novel in about a month.
So, any predictions for her character? Like, I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her kind of, like, that's our only exposure to the Dren gear right now is through her. It was interesting. But yeah, I wonder if she's going to go the Jedi Padawan path, or like, hope we learn more about her history at least.
I hope that she's around a lot more, but I don't want her to, like, come back to the Jedi. I like the idea of just a saber for hire.
Yeah. Also, the Jedi were
really
kind of
love Thilothians in this era.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
they're everywhere.
There was a lot of this is like one book more than any other where I was like, had Star Wars Wiki open like every 5 pages. I was like,
yeah,
which species is that? Although the bird one from Empire at War, just like you, Corey, I was like, the second they said like the general description and the blades on the wrist, I was like, oh yeah, that's like,
yeah, I love that, because they turn the character in Forces of Corruption has this self-healing ability that's just like, it's pure gameplay, but they turned it into an actual species characteristic for this. And I'm not sure if Scott had played Empire at War, I wouldn't doubt it, but it's probably just because he was looking for species on Wikipedia, and I think it does list that ability there. But still, I really love it.
I would guess that Scott was a fan and wrote it in because he's pretty well known to do that.
Yeah.
Just
Well, he has so many
write in what he
references
likes.
that I wouldn't be surprised if it was just looking for more stuff in it, because like Empire at War's expansions campaign is a really, really niche place to go for anything, but it's possible.
I don't know, man. Like you always have like certain authors who like, fell in love with this one Star Wars RPG book from back in the day, and next thing you know, it's like alien species. Like what's that one that Troy Denning always adds in, the little ferrets?
The squibs.
The squibs, yeah. Like the squibs are always added in. Another kind of I've seen chat mention it a few times. Another nice Ashla, which is the Tython moon, was added in there, which was nice. I don't know, was that canon before now? Either way, it was a kind of cool addition, and like Elzar meditating in the sea was really interesting. He's kind of also has this I said interesting way too many times, but he's got this unique role too, where he has these predictions and stuff. That's kind of the main thing that the last book ended off with, and then we get bits of that in this book as well. But I thought that was a cool.
Yeah, it's a real slice of his life.
Shut the fuck up, Corey.
I'm wondering if we've seen the end of that vision that he had, where I'm wondering if he saw something, and because he mentioned the purple glow in that vision, and I think that is connected with the leveler. But now he's experienced all this stuff on at the Republic Fair, and in his head he's like, all right, well, the vision's passed. But I'm like,
maybe not. Yeah. Yeah, like that could definitely, like, all people have been making the Malachor connection. There's a lot of ways you can go. Like, I think it did the Drengir and the Nihil were definitely like a red herring for that. Like, I agree that they probably aren't the grand evil that he's seeing in the future. But I don't know what is, like, because right now the leveler is just one creature, at least from what we've seen. It's one creature's that it's not that large. It jumps out of the door that's of the Gaze Electric, which is a really cool name for a ship. But I mean, like, I can't see one force sensitive Jedi hunting creature can't be, Marchion Ro's big plan, or the big force threat. There's got to be something else. So
is it going to be something that Jedi are aware of, though? Like, was it, because it was essentially locked away? Would it be something that maybe Orbelin is like, oh, I've read something about this before, and
he was cool.
I love Orbelin.
I love the moment where he gets stabbed through his helmet and he like grabs it with his face.
Yeah,
when he's like the Terminator would have done in T2. But yeah, he was fun.
Yeah, big nerdy T1000 basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it kind of I imagine him like those creatures from Mass Effect. I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah.
The ones in the
little
store, like once you go to Normandy?
Yeah, the little squat one. Yeah, that's what just kind of like bouncing back and forth as he's walking in this big clunky suit. He was really fun though. But yeah, I don't know. Like it could be something the Jedi are locked up. It could be, again, there's like a lot of Marchion Ro's history we don't know. Like I don't know if the galaxy at large was aware of this kind of creature and this device he had, whether it was something Sith related or something else. But yeah, my theory is there's got to be something more to it than mean dog.
Yeah, well, let me ask you that, because I want to. What do you think is its deal with the Force? Like, we see what it does with Diz, the Talar tie, and it really messes with his head, and then Bell senses something very similar. What do you think it's doing?
Do you want to take a guess, Corey?
I'm trying. Wasn't there some? It's not the Vornskr, but I think there was something in Legends that kind of did mind scramble Jedi the same way.
Well, doesn't the Voxen, like the Vong one they make, doesn't it do stuff like that? Like it's got a.
I don't think it quite does that, but it. I do think it's like doing some sort of force projection, or I guess the KOTOR 2 power, where the dark side power where you make them like clutch their head and be stunned for 2 seconds.
Insanity.
But yeah, that one. I think that's basically what it's doing.
Yeah.
It seems really connected with fear.
Well, that's the level 1 version of insanity. It's fear, terror, insanity, I think, or in some order.
I was getting like some Lovecraft vibes, like, and because we do get some insight with this, because he's got like a level of force sensitivity. Just he's not a Jedi, but he's because of his species, and we do kind of see it's like he's just getting overwhelmed, and yeah, I do think that it is going to be like. I don't think it's like draining the force from you necessarily. Maybe that's what his eventual goal is, like what the creature does. Like maybe he feeds off the force. He's probably gonna have the Voxen like quality, or the Vornskr like quality of like he can hunt, or it can hunt creatures through the force. Like he'll probably be able to sense Jedi. And then I imagine he drives them insane, or overloads them somehow. Then maybe he like. So, gobbles up their life essence.
Is that what happened to Loden then? He was just so drained already, it didn't take much, and he just completely desiccated of the Force?
Yeah, and I mean, maybe that's why, because I didn't really think about that. Like, I didn't necessarily think there was a purpose to Marchion's experiments, but that is a good point. Maybe he was made like that to be a test for the creature.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, why did Loden die and not Bell? I think that's a good reason. But it's like I keep going back to when you read Diz's chapters, it keeps like taking him back to being ejected from like his family. And when you read Bell's stuff, he all of a sudden thinks he's falling. And it feels like it's giving these force sensitive people like their greatest fear, which I think is maybe cutting them off from the force, which I thought maybe that was all it was doing at first, is like leveling the playing field, removing the force from them. But yeah, it also somehow sucks Loden dry.
Maybe it was just the force keeping him going at that point. But
is Rogue force sensitive?
That's an interesting point, because yeah, if you right before, or maybe as Ro's releasing the beast, he's having these flashbacks of being with his father.
He's having the same flashbacks that Dis was, essentially.
So yeah, that's true, because they both have their kind of family hang-ups. I mean, if curb stomping your father can be described as a family hang-up, but yeah, that's
not a hang-up.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about. Maybe it does have something to do with that, because I just kind of assume that Marchion is an unstable person, and he's fucked up and's got this weird life, but yeah, maybe it's not just people who are like exclusively like what you call force sensitive, because the whole thing is everyone's got some connection to the force at least, right? Like if you go in the Super Shadow, I don't know if you guys know him. Super Shadow used to be a fan site from back in the day. He had the full official force list of midichlorians. Han Solo had 10.
Yeah, but this makes no sense, Justin, because Martian Ro was not on that list, so I don't know what you're trying to say here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He didn't make it.
He knew the next 20 years of Star Wars coming up.
The Star Wars Episode 12 script was on there. That's right.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point too, is that if it follows kind of that Vornskr we hunt through the Force thing, where Marchion. Did you listen to the audiobooks?
No, not for this one.
Okay, because like Molly listens to the audiobooks and they say Marchion.
Yeah, they say Marchion and Nihil.
And I always say Marchion, and we're constantly fighting over what's correct, and it doesn't matter.
No, Molly's right, and I'm right. The audiobooks are really good though.
Yeah, she says this one's great. I haven't listened to it yet, but the fact that if Marchion is force sensitive, that it goes right by him and goes down to the Jedi, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I also wonder if it's permanent. Like, if it cuts off the force from people, Bell survived, is he going to not have the force in the next book, or is that just like while it's around, it messes with you?
I think Star Wars, like, I think that was kind of one of the big hangups of the EU with the Vong and being cut off from the force. I with how the force has been portrayed in canon as like, this element of life, and like it's not just a thing Jedi have, it's a thing that touches everyone. I don't think they're gonna do permanent cutoff. I think it'll be more like in a Salamiri thing. But yeah. Also, I do want to mention prompts to Molly, because I get the review copies for the audiobooks too, and they send them chapter by chapter. So
Yeah.
she would have had to go through 75 individual audio files.
Each about 3 seconds long.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's impressive. And people in chat are asking, yeah, it's Mark Thompson who did this one. He's really good.
So presumably by the end of the High Republic, the Republic's no longer going to be on its high anymore. So do we think like Wave 1 ends with Lina Soh actually dying and not miraculously surviving the attack? I really thought she was going to be dead after this.
I think she's a double agent.
I feel like symbolic. Oh, you think she's a Nihil this whole time?
No, I think she's a Sith Lord.
Spice the entire...
I'm half joking.
Huh.
I'm half joking, but I think there's something going on with her. Like,
yeah, they've never done that. They've never had the Chancellor that everyone respects be the Sith Lord.
I don't actually think she's a Sith Lord, but I do think there's something else going on. Like, I don't think she can be so naive. I think she's setting herself up as like, I don't know.
I think the thing they're going for is idealistic, not naive. Just
Yeah, I mean,
that's the whole point.
But she's holding the like I get what you're saying, but the two kind of cross paths at some point when the Republic's under attack, and you know they've got shipyards with nobody protecting them. They've got world fairs with nobody protecting them. Like, I don't know.
I think that's all naive, and just they thought that they dealt with the Nihil in the first book, and they were overconfident, and they were like, okay, well, that was just a weird problem. They called it the Great Disaster. They were treating it like some freak accident, whereas now it's like very clear, this is no accident. We're coming to kill you. So I chalk it up to naivety, but when you said she's a Sith Lord, despite it being like, you know, we've done that before.
It would be sick.
If it happens to Yoda twice, how is he going to feel?
Yeah, right. Well, it's kind of like, I don't hate this idea that the Sith keep trying it, and they get a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Having seen her own like inner monologue in Light of the Jedi, I can't remember if it was in The Rising Storm. I get the sense that she is idealistic and yes, naive. But mostly also having two giant lions is a very Bond villain thing to do.
Yeah, I am mostly just joking, but like, I am kind of like, I don't think she's actually a bad guy. I definitely don't think she's actually a Sith, but it would be something to have like this purely idealistic character like have a fall from grace, you know, to like, oh, this because that's like a death of the like ideology in a way too. Like if you have
I think that's why she has to die, not become like, her dying would represent the end of that period more than like her deciding she wants some kickbacks from the Soros sub military production or something.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, I don't know. It's just that like I think they are probably just setting her up to die and it be kind of the death of the era. But like it just, I think the idea of what if there was something else going on is interesting.
I wonder how long the whole 3 phases is going to last, or we don't even know for sure if it's just 3 phases, but they talk about how what the Acolyte is going to take place at the end of the High Republic. So the whole era goes for 150 more years. And I'm wondering if all of the books are going to span that amount of time. And we're going to see Vernestra Rowe like become a Jedi Master and then die, and then like the people that she trained are gonna we're gonna like maybe see a cycle of characters and really see generations of change for the Jedi Order, which it wouldn't surprise me.
As a generation, essentially.
Yeah, because I feel like they're moving pretty quick.
Yeah. So let's explain so there's as of now 3 phases. You probably know the names, do you, Alex?
Light of the Jedi is phase 1, and then Quest
and Trials, right? Yeah.
I can't remember which is which. I think Quest is 2 and Trials is 3.
And then within these phases, at least within this first wave, there are also multiple waves.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of wave 2, or is it the end of wave 1?
Beginning of 2.
So
and it's going to be a lot bigger than wave 1.
And we know I think they've also said there's going to be at least 3 waves within this phase. So there's lots of stuff coming. And like, I mean, I imagine if these sell well, which the comic at least is selling exceptionally well, the High Republic comic. It's almost hit 1 million sales which would put it the top-selling comic of the decade, only behind the Star Wars. The two, I think it was.
I will say, I think the source for that was Cava Scott making a joke on a live stream a couple days ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think they were talking about how it's going into its billionth reprinting, and he said, "Yeah, we're going for 1 million," something like that.
Okay.
I think he was joking, but it has been reprinted a lot. I think I have its 5th reprinting over there.
Yeah, that might have just been a joke. But it was like, either way, somebody smarter than me picked it up. And by that I mean somebody on Reddit. But yeah,
it is selling well. The Light of the Jedi, I think all of the Phase Wave 1 books hit the New York Times bestsellers.
Yeah,
so it's doing well.
I read, and I did a video on this too. It was one of the only Star Wars books to debut at number 1 on the bestsellers list. There was a couple of other weird ones, like there was I think Ahsoka was one as well. It's like this, Ahsoka, and like I think maybe like one of the like an old Legends book. I can't remember what it was.
Really, I would have guessed like Heir to the Empire. Really?
Yeah, no, that didn't premiere at number 1. It was even The Last Command didn't, which was kind of, I guess, just shows you how much like the expanded universe has grown overall. But yeah, I'm trying to find that source, see if it actually existed. But yeah.
Did Yoda show up directly, and was he one of the side stories or like children's stories like him and the Padawans, or has that just been a mystery that's over the whole thing that wears Yoda right now?
He is in the High Republic Adventures fairly prominently, and he was in like 3 frames of the first issue of the High Republic main comic.
Because like he's talked about in this, like, oh, if Yoda were here, wonder where he is with the Padawans right now.
So would you like me to tell you?
Yes.
Okay. He is with someone else that is basically, they're on the trail of Markion and what he was doing and the relics he was collecting. So they're trying to figure out what he's doing, but they don't know about the leveler yet. They're just like, he's been going around to these weird places. Let's see if we can figure out why.
Right.
It's not Yaddle, is it? That's not who he's with.
Who?
Yaddle?
No.
Is Yaddle around? She must be, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are they,
We don't know yet. Are they like Elzar and
Grogu? Come on.
Yeah, no. I do like how even at this point Yoda is, he commands a lot of respect. They're like, oh, if only Yoda were here. It's like
he's still a Grandmaster. Like,
yeah.
Do we know?
We got Yoda. We've got Yariel Poof, and was Oppo mentioned?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the last one, I think. Do we know who all 5? There's 5 Grandmasters at this point, right? I think they said, because they name drop 1 in this book.
I think there were.
I thought there were just 2, but now I'm not sure.
Because they name drop.
Yoda,
3. Right.
And there's someone else.
I can't read my stupid notes. Pratraverter.
Travis.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or something.
I took ass notes during this.
You handwrite your notes?
No, so what I've been doing is I've been trying to exercise more. So I'll read like going on a walk. So it's like I've got my Kindle in one hand. If I need to take a note, I just like open my phone, write something quickly, hope for the best. It's also at like midnight. I go for my walks at like midnight.
Yeah.
And I'm just like some nerd with a Kindle in front of my face, just asking to be mugged.
Give me all your Star Wars.
Please don't. The book's not out yet. I'll get in so much trouble. Don't leak it.
Do you want to be a guest on my podcast?
Please don't leak it. That's funny. I actually, I almost lost a copy of which book was it? I think it was Chaos Rising, or it was I can't remember which. It was one of the Thrawn books or one of the Alphabet Squadron books. On one of our trips to LA, I left it on an airplane. And I had to go back on and get it, and I was like, "Oh my god, I mean, realistically, what would happen?" But like, it wasn't out yet, so technically, I maybe could have gotten a little bit of trouble. But yeah,
you just gave me an ulcer, like thinking about that. It probably wouldn't have amounted to anything, but I would have been so worried.
Yeah, I thankfully was able to go back and get it. Like nobody touched it, but yeah, I was scared.
Yeah, because no one else knew what it was.
Yeah.
Chaos Rising, whatever.
Up at your door, and there's nothing you can do at that point.
I've told Corey about this, Alex, but whenever a new Star Wars book, whenever we get one, I control F it for like certain key phrases. I'll like
Right, you told me
control
that.
F Palpatine, Star Destroyer, Empire, Yuzan Vong.
You just got to write a script to do all that.
That's true, actually. Oh man, that's a good idea.
I do that too. I just control F Biggs, and it never has shown up anything.
Let's see if
He'll be
Biggs
there
showed up in
someday,
High
buddy.
Republic. Speaking of, what do you think? For one, I'm curious, since you're on, what you think the Rogue Squadron movie is going to be about.
I was gonna wait until the end if you hadn't brought it up, but I was watching your video yesterday about Patty's
nice.
comments and stuff.
So what are your
very
thoughts?
excited.
Do you think it's about the
It's like-
era too? Do you agree with my thoughts on the era? or-
Oh, yeah, I think that makes the most sense because of Wedge, like Dennis Lawson. Unless they're going
old.
to DH him. Like, I don't really want them to recast Wedge. So, yes, making him the flight instructor that still flies with them. I want him in an X-Wing cockpit because we didn't get it in 9. I would love to still see him flying around. So, yeah, I think that post-episode 9, I think what you tweeted was something like doing first order holdouts until, like, the real threat is revealed. Yeah, that little pitch right there.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, even if it's and that's kind of funny because that's what the X-Wing books often did too. It would be like the first couple chapters are battle against this one Star Destroyer or something, and then it's like, oh, we got dead aliens on Coruscant or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take whatever they give us. If they're gonna go to like the formation of Rogue Squadron, sure. But again, you tweeted this. Like, I'm good to leave the Galactic Civil War. Like, we've seen it a lot. Let's just do something new.
Yeah, and they're also kind of at the time period where they like take a break from the Galactic Civil War. Then when you come back with Rogue 2, like the sequel to Rogue One, then people are excited to be back there. But if you're just like gonna keep, it's like the same thing about the Clone Wars and Legends. It's like every book that came out, every television show, every like comic was Clone Wars, Clone Wars, Clone Wars, and it's like you lose your interest. So like, give us something new.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, especially when you read all the comics and books, I feel like 80% of them have been original trilogy stuff.
I mean, it makes sense. Like that's what a lot of people love, but like, you can't rely on 3 movies from the 70s and early 80s forever.
I have a pitch then. If we're going after episode 9,
Okay.
We've got the Exegol. They rediscover some cloning tech from Exegol that's been lost for decades. And Wedge, missing his friends, looking for a new purpose, is reforming a new rogue squadron, all with Biggs clones.
Say no more. He had one mustache hair.
Yeah.
And was able to clone him.
It's like the first scene is like them kicking the door to Biggs' old apartment on Coruscant. It's like, find the razor,
it's
find the
like-
razor.
Yeah, find a
It's
brush.
like with Kylo, where it's Wedge going back to Yavin, scouring the jungles for that one mustache hair.
Yeah.
The Webbish Bog or whatever that thing was called. That was going to be in episode 9. Shows up. It's like, we made the art already for it. Like, we got to use it.
We got to use it somewhere.
You're looking in the wrong places. Look for hair from his mustache, not his head.
That's where his power was. Yes, I'm excited about everything they've said so far. Don't really know much about the writer they announced, but
Yeah, that's
Like-
kind of my thoughts too.
yeah, it's always weird. Like, I want to jump back and like judge their old filmography, but I try to remember that like screenwriting is such a messed up field,
Especially
that,
with a movie like Star Wars. Where,
right. Well, I remember when Chernobyl came out. Craig Mazin, I was like, this series is amazing. I want to see other things this person has done and watch them. And I looked up his filmography, and it was like Scary Movie 3, Scary Movie 4, superhero movie. And I was like, whoa, like what a glow up.
The dude had it in him the whole time. Okay, before we rip on Scary Movie 3 too much, that was pretty funny. There's one scene in particular where the sheriff's hat gets slightly bigger every time the camera pans back to her. And by the end, it's like fucking this big. It's hilarious.
I don't
Why
know
don't
if
they
it's
do
held
that
up.
in Star Wars?
Yeah. That's what Detours was going to be.
I'm so glad that genre died like as quickly as it came in. There were years where every movie was just teen movie, not another teen movie, scary movie, the superhero movie, and then they just all stopped at once. I don't know why they stopped.
They
But
were
Stop making
garbage.
money.
well, they were garbage, but streaming platforms come along. How cheap must that shit be to make?
Sure.
That it
Get one of the Wayans brothers in a script, like you're golden, or like not even just like
just write one.
like let
If
Marlon
streaming had
Wayans
come
go
up-
in a room for a minute.
if streaming had come up as like as big as it is now, those movies would have stayed everywhere forever, and we would not have gotten away from it.
When YouTube inevitably implodes, we should all write not another space battle movie together.
That's actually
One last cash.
I'm literally sold already.
I mean, that's Spaceballs, but we can do it worse.
But Spaceballs is a bit like
That's the key.
antiquated now because like we've had lots of garbage sci-fi movies since then that we can draw from.
That's true.
Well, so besides for besides for Rogue Squadron, which of the other a million announced projects are you kind of most excited for?
Generally, I'm just like looking on the horizon. Like right now, we're just inundated with Bad Batch. I am excited for Visions just because that's going to be so unknown. But of everything on the horizon, just knowing so little about the Acolyte excites me. The idea that it could be almost anything and it's got like a dark side connection to it. I'm like, that sounds very different. I'm excited for Book of Boba Fett. I'm excited for Mandalorian Season 3. Obviously, I'm elated about Kenobi and Andor. But just not knowing what the Acolyte is that's just cool.
What about the Bad Batch? Like, how you've been hyped on it? I haven't seen much on Twitter from you about it. Are you feeling it?
That's because I'm just trying to stay off Twitter more.
Fair
But
enough.
yeah, I've been really enjoying it more than I thought I would. I think it's the best first season of an animated show.
Easily,
Like
yeah.
it's just every episode is like, yep, I see what you're doing. It's deliberate. It's still surprising me. But I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anything else you guys want to talk about High Republic? I mean, I feel like we jumped around the book. I mean, the book jumps around a lot, so I guess it's kind of appropriate that our conversation jumped around a lot. I'm just reading some of my notes. I got sexual tension. That's always good to have in a note. I'm still a bit thrown off by how different the galaxy is just 200 years before Phantom Menace. Like,
Yeah.
but
The Republic keeps getting talked about as if it's like such a recent development, I'm not sure how far back they're saying a lot of it goes, but we do have, they're talking about Naboo, Mutalists, Pantora. So this is all stuff that'd be pretty far out on the Outer Rim in different directions.
yeah, Naboo is pretty
Just
far
to get
out.
Yeah. And like Naboo in Legends, it was very recently joined the Galactic community before episode 1, because like Plagueis
Gungan orgies,
was
they had to
talking
get
about-
those under control.
So
I figure it's like you have your core worlds and then probably like a bunch of little branches
Mm-hmm.
Right.
coming off of that. And then the High Republic, the expansion of the Outer Rim is trying to make it less of a branch and more of a
Right.
complete circle.
But do
That's
we think
how
we're
I've
going
been-
that far back as like, is there thousands of years of the Republic before, or is the Republic closer to the kind of 1,000-year mark that?
We know the Jedi are at least thousands of years, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Thousands of 1,000 generations.
Yeah,
So-
sorry, I just meant from the High Republic text. Yeah, with 1,000
Oh, yeah.
generations from, but yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I kind of hope, I like the idea that the kind of Legends idea that the Republic existed in some form for a long time, and then like
Obi-Wan is kind of vague with that statement, though. It could be like the tiny Killick generation, so that could only be a few days. Are they human generations?
That's true. What is a generation in Star Wars? Could be anything.
But like maybe because in Legends they have the like they kind of reconcile that the galaxy was fucked up for a long time. The Republic kind of reformed. I wouldn't mind if they did something like that in this, where like the Republic as it existed maybe isn't quite as old, but there's been some form of galactic government for a long time.
I think I think they're still using that in canon because it's like, yeah, there was the old Republic is a thing, and then Darth Bane happens and the end of the Sith Wars, and they're like, let's kind of start fresh. And so we're in the Republic, and everything before that is the Old Republic.
You ever think somebody like one of the bureaucrats was like, why do we keep signing these documents Old Republic? Like,
Yeah. If we're not going to be around forever, huh? There's going to be a new Republic someday.
It's just future proofing.
Yeah, but I mean, we're eventually going to get some KOTOR stuff, and that'll probably, help fill in that gap slightly. Legends was just, it was too much of the same thing over and over again, where it's like Sith War, break, Sith War, break. The Sith are gone for good this time, but they're not. It's like,
right.
Hopefully it's
I still do. Okay, well, here's something we can talk about for High Republic. I do hope that some Sith show up. Like, not to the Jedi's knowledge. I want to see, like, the two Sith that are out there, and they're trying to get something done, and they're trying to stay secret. I think a cat and mouse game would be super fun. They are about to do Darth Krall in the comics, but he's like an ancient Sith, so they're just gonna maybe tell his
I think
story
that's
or
clickbait.
something.
I think that comic cover is clickbait because I saw it.
Oh, really? Because I'm doing a video on it, so...
No, I think it's gonna be a flashback or something. Having no knowledge of Like I don't think they're gonna do Sith ghosts or whatever. Like no Elzar Mann show up. But...
I think a flashback, or it's they talk about him in Dooku Jedi Lost, so I think they're just gonna tell his story, kind of like they did with Momin in the Vader comics.
Do you think we're getting, if we get a Sith appearance, do you think we're getting Darth Plagueis as the apprentice / master there? Are we going to see Plagueis coming up, or is he going to be kept as a kind of later, closer to the prequel era?
Good question.
I'd love it if he were the apprentice in the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Like if part of that story was him killing his master, that'd be cool.
Yeah, my theory is that. Sorry, go ahead, Corey.
I really hope it's still like Darth Tenebris. I want to see a Bith Sith Lord. That'd be, especially in live action, that'd be hilarious.
It's like
I was in the chat, Phoenix Night Flame said that's what they think the Acolyte will be, and I think that makes a lot of sense because they said it's going to be like a mystery thriller.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I don't know. I feel like right now the High Republic is kind of like being portrayed as this different era. But I do think the further we get along, we're going to get some big connective tissue. And I do think it's going to be the Sith ended up being behind a lot of things that are going on. Like I don't think they'll ever encounter, like, you're never going to have a Jedi killed by a Sith or anything like that. You're obviously never going to be able to have the galaxy find them at large. But I think we'll end up discovering that they've done something that makes, the prequel trilogy possible. Whether it was like a fundamental weakening of the Jedi Order somehow, like they hid the Jedi's best textbook or something. Like
they drove up
the one Jedi that contained information about Force Heal. Yep.
How not to treat children, or how not to treat teenagers and young adults scared of losing their lovers. They burned that one. Therapy,
That's
Jedi therapy techniques.
The Sith apprentice infiltrates the archives, and they're like, "I got a book. I got one." And they're like, "That's the one you stole? The one about like raising a teenager?" Yeah, I don't know. I just grabbed what I could. And like, fine, we'll destroy it. It was pointless.
Was there something about that in Bane where they go into the Jedi Temple and steal something? Is that when he's trying to find his crab armor information?
Yeah. Because Darth
Xana had to get in there, right?
Goes in, yeah, because that's where she finds her friend.
And then they chase her.
And there's like a little meet cute in the middle of the archives, and they leave, and it was all hilarious. Then they end up on
that other planet where she hacks him to pieces.
Yeah, that was sick.
That was funny.
Then the other Ithorian Jedi dies.
I love the. I know we're way off topic now, but I love in that book how it's like full on RPG. It's like the Ithorian Jedi is just sitting back there meditating, like he's buffing his teammates the whole time.
Oh yeah.
So I guess one last thing with the Nihil would be the in the last book we lost Kassav. Now we've lost Pan-Eta, and it's just Lorna D left with the original crew. Is Pan going to get replaced by Ro, or is he kind of just going to let the Nihil fall to Lorna D, and that just becomes another conflict between the two?
Well, they're doing an audio drama about Lorna. I think Ro probably at this point just wants to take control. I don't know that he's gonna, of whatever's left, because we don't even know what kind of numbers the Nihil have
They
anymore.
they got punched in the face pretty hard, like
Yeah,
on
they
3
have 6 full
occasions.
fighters coming after him here, plus some long beams, so it's over for them.
Well,
It might.
yeah. It's kind of interesting because with a lot of characters who are like Marchion Ro, like if it were Palpatine, you'd think he's just using the Nihil for his greater goals, and I'm kind of tempted to feel that way with Marchion too. But like you also get a lot of his internal monologue, and he clearly has some interest in controlling not only that faction but like his overall goals, whatever they are too. So I'm kind of wondering too, but I think he probably doesn't care about the Nihil in their current form, but he's gonna try to take he skimmed some of the fat and is gonna try to take the lean meat that's left.
He cares about the organization, but I don't know if he cares about like the command hierarchy, the multi-level marketing scheme they have of like, we need 3 Tempests, then you have your Storm and Cloud runners, and invite 5 more friends, then you make the profits from their sales.
I thought it was a really smart move to focus less on this book. I didn't enjoy the Nihil perspective chapters in Light of the Jedi, especially the ones where it's like, oh, we're partying again. But I don't know. I guess they kind of pay off this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird to have the faction that is like supposed to be about chaos and some form of anarchy be like so strictly organized and have such an emphasis on the organizational structure there.
Mm-hmm. I've got another question for both of you. Should more people have died in this book? Because it does play the did they not die with Bell. It plays it with Lina Soh. It plays it with a few others as well. Did they need to kill more people, or did Cava Scott need to kill more people to make this interesting, or was it fine, do you think? Because it wasn't like Rise of Skywalker bad with like, that teasing it that hard, but
like Chewbacca.
yeah, but Bell especially has really 2 scenes. He gets impaled once, and I thought he was gone that time. He gets impaled once, then he also kind of almost dies in his ship. Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I definitely didn't walk away from the book thinking that, because I was just furious about Loden. So no, I don't think anyone else had to die. I wouldn't have minded maybe some of the other secondary characters like the Ithorian, like names that you recognize and you're like, oh no, but it's not devastating.
Yeah, like Indira.
I wouldn't have minded that, but yeah,
I thought she was gonna die.
Indira would have been like, God, poor Bell. I'm just
yeah,
just losing everyone. He's cursed.
Yeah,
but I love him.
Oh yeah, he's cool.
Like, I don't think more people had to die, but I do think someone other than Loden dying instead of Loden was kind of what I was expecting, at least, either Lena or Stellan, honestly. Where it just felt like it was kind of carrying on the same loss from the last book. Like, we did see that Loden was still alive at the end of the last book, but everyone else in the universe thought Loden was dead. So coming into book 3 or any of the other side stories, from all of their perspectives, it's not something additional that's necessarily been lost. It's going to be retreading the, oh, Loden's gone.
I think there's a reason for that. I need to just like organize my thoughts at some point, but to me, I think Loden is like the best of them, where he's been tortured for a year, had both of his Leku cut off, and like they make it pretty clear that he just never fell. He was still a great Jedi. And so if he's the best of them and now he's gone and was killed by whatever this leveler is, like that makes the leveler scarier, but it's also like, oh, the one of you that knew what to do and knew not how to fall is gone. Like all of the others, Elzar, Avar, Stellan, like the big leaders of this era, they've got flaws. And I think they're gonna mess with them as we continue on, whereas Loden may have been able to offer some guidance.
Yeah, that's definitely fair, especially centering the Jedi, where like I was kind of seeing Lena's death as being symbolically the same idea, even if not the same kind of like personal strength in her that that Loden kind of exemplifies. But especially because it is supposed to be centering the Jedi so much more, that does make a lot more sense.
And also it just hurts.
Yeah.
Alex, you're running low on time here, right?
I have 17 minutes.
Okay. I'm wondering, for one, what do you guys think about Elzar? Is he going to continue down his path here? Because they joke with it pretty quickly, like where it seems like he's turning the dark side. It's a trick. But after that, he's like, maybe that wasn't a great idea. Like where he pretends to force choke the captured Nihil agent. So what do you think? Are they gonna continue? Is he gonna continue down that path, or is he gonna get the help he needs?
I can see it going either way. Where I like the idea that he does this dark side thing even before that, like with the throwing the disc.
Yeah.
And no one really, everyone's like, they sense it and they're like, that didn't feel great, maybe we should talk about that later, but they don't.
And he's a lot more
upset.
upset.
Thing they do, the first thing they do is then make him do that, like what you just said.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I think that's just, the dark side is a slippery slope. And yeah, you can use the dark side for good reasons, but then it becomes easier to use it again and again and again. So I guess in my head it makes sense for him to keep going, but I'd like to see the Jedi ask him to keep doing stuff like that and him refusing to, and maybe becoming a lost 20 or something like that.
Yeah. That's interesting. I like that idea. My other question is, we're not seeing much of Avar. Well, we saw her a bit in the 2 books, but kind of she's treated almost like the greatest Jedi in this period, at least one of them, and she's the new Marshal of the Starlight Beacon. Do you see a lot of her in the other books? Like, is she kind of like? I mean, she's obviously in Light of the Jedi, but I don't think like not as much as some of the other characters in it. Now she's kind of gone. And she's spoken of in like not hushed tones, but like in with a lot of reverence, I guess. So
she's pretty central to the comic.
Okay.
The main Marvel comic.
Okay.
So she's off dealing with the Drin gear right now.
Okay. That's
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Corey. Sorry.
One of the things that I did like about it is kind of towards that, where even though there's so many characters that are in the book, the books are doing a really good job of showing that there is still other stuff going on in the galaxy, and that you can't just say like you can in a lot of like Marvel stuff, like, oh, why can't Iron Man come in and save us on this thing? Why is this just the Spider-Man? Or that's a really terrible example. Iron Man's in those, but and literally anyone else I could have picked, it would have worked better. But we kind of know that she's off dealing with this other problem, and it feels okay that it's off screen without really detracting from the story, and it really helps with the world building, I think.
Yeah, like you could tell there's a tie-in novel set following the kids, like the Jedi Padawans in this one, because
Race to Crash Point Tower surprised me a lot. I think Daniel Jose Older just knows how to write to a young audience without alienating the older. I wrote my review for Rising Storm, then immediately picked up Crash Point Tower, and I was like, this was so great to read right afterwards. Like when Ty and Elzar are on their flying beasts, and Ty goes like, I'll be right back. And then later she's back. And you're like, well, where'd she go? You see that in Crash Point Tower. And yeah, just seeing kind of that one, it's a very short little book, but it's a lot of fun. It's probably the best middle grade book that Star Wars has had since like the Young Jedi Knights. Yeah.
My man. We're reading those right now. I think we're on book 9 now, eh, Corey? Or 10 even. Yeah.
We just finished Illusions of Grandeur.
We're
so
sad.
I think that is book 9.
Yeah, we're almost done.
So do you guys want to finish off with
I've got one more question for Alex.
Okay,
I got one more question for Alex. What kind of genre or which Star Wars author that hasn't been a part of the High Republic would you want to see involved? Like are you looking for the Michael Stackpole?
Come on.
Yeah.
Every chapter is just Elzar Mann.
I won't. Betting another woman or man or creature.
And being like, oh, what have I done?
Third time I made that mistake today.
Well, I don't think anyone else is joining. It sounds like it's these 5 authors and that's it. But if I could throw someone else in there, I really like Delilah Dawson's style.
Mm-hmm.
I think she tells very unique stories, but yeah, obviously, I'd love a Michael Stackpole book about like what are the non-Jedi people doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking too.
I love
We got
Van
that more.
Targes. Give him a book.
Yeah, we got more of them in the Light of the Jedi. I feel than this one.
Yeah,
and I
a lot more.
liked that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind just seeing like what are the normal people of the Republic doing, and how are they fighting the Nihil?
And in the core too, like what's going on in the core, because we're spending a lot of time.
That's
They
true
aren't
too.
getting growled at by the chief or the Chancellor's lion, so there's some classist undertones going on here that's not great.
And now I want James Luceno to come in and write an Iriadu book.
Yeah,
those guys were awesome.
They were.
the second they show up at the end of Light of the Jedi, I'm like, oh, you fucked up now, Nihil.
Fuck around and find
Look at
out
you.
the planet.
Yeah.
You know that's like Tarkin's great grandmother or whatever, or like great grandmother. But yeah, let's.
It's kind of weird because Toon is kind of taking Ranulph Tarkin's position in new canon now.
I thought
where like the person pushing for the Central Republic military, that used to be Ranulph, now it's a Celestian.
I thought Toon was kind of like a Borsk who's more likable, like who's maybe not more likable but more good, because like I do think he is probably has good intentions and like he does help out at the end. He just reminded me of Borsk a lot.
I can see that, and I liked him too, where you have bad vibes about this guy the whole time, and then like, oh, they're watching him on a secret meeting, like, here we go, and he's immediately like, oh no, I don't want anything to do with like this illegal substance you brought here. Like, I'm
drugs?
not trying to fight the Jedi. Yeah.
And they
like,
even
he's not trying to end the Jedi. He's just trying to do different things.
They even admit too. It's like they're like, and he might have a point on a couple of occasions. He's like, he's pushing for the Central Defense Fleet, and he might have a point. It's like, maybe, like, maybe you should have like a ship or two, like, who follows the Chancellor around. Like, that might not be a bad idea.
I mean, his whole thing about like this whole Republic fair is a dangerous thing, and you should have more defense here. Yep.
Yes. They're like, oh, you're gonna politicize it, and he's like, well, like, no one's listening. Like, you guys had literal dragons here. Like, no
the
one.
ship you're showing off got attacked 5 minutes before it got
It's at
here.
the bottom of the lake now. It's the second time it was attacked. Fuck. Yeah. Yeah, but let's. I think we should give our letter rating. So, Alex, I'm not sure if you remember, but we have S to F. S being the best, and then A, B, C, D, E. I don't know what the lowest is. D, I guess. Do you want to give your rating for this book?
I'll just give it an A for now. Like, okay. I think that when I finished it, I would have run around the house yelling S. I want to like.
I was very surprised.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to let these things sit for a little while. But yeah, I really liked it. The High Republic is just doing everything I wanted it to do so far.
Corey?
Yeah, I agree. It's probably somewhere in the A tier for me. Maybe it'll go up. Maybe it'll go down a little bit. I don't think it'll go down very far, but...
Yeah, me too. There were parts where I was like... I really liked the first half especially, and I thought the writing was seriously improved compared to the last book. But yeah, I think overall it's going to be an A for me as well. Big improvement from my point of view.
That's just interesting. Like, I would go the other way, where compared to Light of the Jedi, it was like kind of a slow start, and then the second half, it was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's definitely different. But yeah, that's a you see, like, you would have given Light of the Jedi an S probably, would you? You think?
No, I like, they're pretty equivalent to me.
Okay.
I can't decide which one I like more right now. I feel like I've been more obsessive over The Rising Storm, so I probably like it more. It's
hard too, because the other one has a lot to do. Like,
Light of the Jedi, I think, was a big relief for me, because knowing how invested publishing was going to be in this, I think I was just excited that I was into it. And I was like, okay, thank God, it's not bad. I like it. I like all the characters. And then this was like just more of a roller coaster of a ride. So I probably do like The Rising Storm more.
Yeah, it was the other way.
Part of me is like, part of me goes, I can't keep saying that like every one of these books is one of the best Star Wars books I've ever read.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely the other way where I was like, after the first one, I was kind of bummed out because I liked some of the things they were going for, but like, I really wasn't a fan of the writing, and I thought some of it was a bit much. And then this one, I was like, okay, like I can still like stories, or really like stories even set in this time period. So it was, I didn't like it as much as like any of the Alphabet Squadron books. I think those are probably my favorite for canon. Probably Alphabet Squadron, even maybe it might even be one is my favorite, but yeah, it was good.
The Victory's Price is definitely up there where it's like I should grade them about like just based on how long I yell at Molly about them when I finish them. It's like I'll finish a book and then we'll just walk our dog and I'll just like word vomit all my feelings and she's like, uh-huh. I did that with Victory's Price and I did that with The Rising Storm.
Yeah, Victory's Price was really good. Especially the Jakku scenes, like I think those are my favorite. We've had Jakku in like a million different books now.
Yeah, it's wild. I was like, I don't want him to go back to Jakku, and then they went back to Jakku, and it was great.
Yeah.
I feel like Jakku is going to be in Star Wars books for a long time. Like by the end of the movie, or by the end of the, I don't know, 20 years or something, it'll be like a picture of Jakku. You'll be like, oh yeah, this is the Star Destroyer where Lost Stars happened. This is the Star Destroyer where, you know. Yeah,
like I know you guys weren't as high on Greater Good, but like the last 3 books we've had have been basically Rising Storm, Victory's Price, and Greater Good. And like when the weak part of the last 3 Star Wars books is a Timothy Zahn book, like it's not a bad time.
No, totally. What's next for like what books are coming up next? I don't know.
I think it's
Thrawn again. Yeah.
I think the next one is, well, we got Out of the Shadows is the YA High Republic book, but the next novel I think is Ronin, the Visions tie-in.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those. Yeah, Lesser Evil's November.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Queen's Hope.
I thought it was September. Okay.
Thrawn Lesser Evil is in November.
I think it got pushed maybe.
Oh, did it?
No, I think it was initially earlier, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'm just thinking of when Chaos Rising came out because I think that was September, and time no longer means anything.
Yeah. Ronin is October 12th. I'm just looking at the. I don't think we know anything about that. Visions is good. Well, Visions should be exciting. I'm always down for, they can be a lot more free with the stories they tell there. Bummed we lost the Mandalorian novels though. I know we're getting.
Yeah, me too.
Because we were supposed to get some original ones. I think we're getting a retread of season 1, maybe, but yeah, kind of a quiet time for publishing, I guess.
I think there's more to be announced, but yeah, I doubt there's going to be anything between now and Visions.
My question is, are we going to get any more Timothy Zahn books once he's done Lesser Evil? Are they going to retire the Elzar Man?
My joke has always been, so I have this theory that when we get to Thrawn in live action, he's going to be a straight up villain. And then my joke would be that like Timothy Zahn is going to come along and write about how everything he did was actually a good thing. But I've actually like really come around on the discrepancy, the inconsistency of the character where I'm like, I think maybe it's just a character arc that I was blind to. Where no, Thrawn was a good guy, and then he made a deal with the devil and joined the Empire, and it corrupts him over time. So, I don't know. I think we'll probably get.
I just wish we'd get some consistency. Like I don't know these last 3 Thrawn books. Like I know, and again they're almost kind of fantasy-like in a way too. But I would just wish we got some consistency, and like I want to read those books thinking that they're going to affect Thrawn in the upcoming show, and I don't right now, as much as I wish they would. Like I feel like this could be books that never get picked up ever again.
I totally agree with you. I wish that he knew anything, Timothy Zahn knew where the character was headed so that he could foreshadow it, and then like as a reader you'd feel rewarded and like, oh, I know something, no specifics, but I know something. And I can see how it all connects. But yeah, a lot of times you like read these books and you watch Rebels and it's like, I didn't get much out of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's all we should keep you for, Alex. Corey, maybe we can just answer the questions like on next episode that we have.
Yeah, it'll be Young Jedi Knight, so it should be relatively quick.
Yeah,
other
so
than
we'll answer the High Republic questions as well. But yeah, thank you, Alex, for joining us. Is there anything you want to take a second to plug before you hump off? And is it D&D tonight? You said gonna slay some
playing D&D with my crew.
beauty.
So I assume most people here know about Star Wars Explained, so I'll shout out. We have another channel. Right now it's just called Malix for Molly and Alex, but we're doing a show with our friend Ashton called Explain It to Me, and we're having people come on every episode. Right now we're going through Loki, but when Mortal Kombat came out, we had some Mortal Kombat experts come on. We had Mark from the Templin Institute come on for the Godzilla.
That movie
great
sucked.
Mark word vomiting at everyone for like an
Good
hour
God.
straight, and I loved it.
I want to do like a whole series with Mark just because he has like the saddest, funniest stories. But, yeah, I'll shout that out.
All right, so everyone, if you want to find those, you can look up Explain It to Me or Malix. That's Malex. Good channel. I've been subscribed to that since that was the old Malix Vlogs channel, or is that different?
Yeah, so we'll probably still do random stuff there, just like basically anything that's not Star Wars.
I think I might have an appearance there somewhere in one of the vlogs. So if you guys look closely.
Yeah, I bet you do.
So yeah, make sure you check that out. And yeah, thank you so much, Alex, for joining us.
You know what, real quick, I will say that you made me in one video where we were at EA Play together, and I was like, do you want to do a face reveal? And you were like, nah. So I took all this time to like rotoscope your logo over, or
I remember that.
your logo over your face, and now here you are. Don't even care.
Yeah, and it's funny too because somebody else uploaded one, and I was just right there the whole time. I forget who it was, but yeah, I guess I like wasting people's time. I guess this is why I do YouTube videos for a living.
You're worth wasting time for.
It's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me. But yeah, I guess we'll sign off. Thanks everyone for checking out and listening to this episode. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you can find TapCav transmissions on all your favorite podcast places. And if you want to leave a review that we'll read at the end of next episode, include the word... Alex, what's a good word? Just any word that someone has to work into a review somehow.
Oh. Bumble.
Bumble, okay. It's going to be about me for sure. All right, work Bumble into your review and we'll read it at the end of next episode. But until next time, goodbye, everybody. Oh, next book, Corey, what is it? Young Jedi Knights?
The next Young Jedi Knights book,
okay.
the name of which I forget. So.
Okay, the name of which
Crisis
I forget.
at Cloud City.
Crisis at Cloud City. See you guys then.